Okay, I'm going to cover a little bit more in depth about the Strike Trader Elite Push indicator. The indicator we have here at the lower region of the chart. This indicator is all about doing just one thing, evaluating the intensity of the momentum bar by bar. That's the only thing that the indicator does. So, how do I use that information? I can use it on the lower information per the prior video where I explained about the indicator initially. I can use it on a lower time frame, let's say out of a news release, to see when the intensity of trade in a pulse move starts to fade or weaken. And then another main way that I use the indicator is I analyze higher time frame charts where I pay attention to my key support and resistance levels, and I look for changes in the intensity, and I look for divergences between that intensity and price. So for instance, here's price, had a very strong type of a pulse momentum move. We transition from upside momentum to downside momentum as price pressed lowered and the market continued to grind lower. Made a bit of a double bottom, bounced, built some support, rallied, built some additional support, rallied, came back, tested recent support, rallied. So on a higher time frame chart though, I can see in this press lower of price, as price was pressing lower, I can see that the intensity, okay, let me do this real quick, sorry. I can see that the intensity of the downside price momentum was starting to dissipate in this area of price. So let's move this right here on this double bottom. So if I would have seen any lift of price out of this double bottom on a lower time frame chart, I could be looking for buy setups because there was an obvious area of a diminished downside price momentum, even though price was able to come down and test and trade to recent lows. And then price started to lift and show some upside price momentum. Pullbacks as price lifted out of this double bottom on a much higher time frame chart had light trade intensity or moderate. And upside momentum continued to be strong throughout the move. So I look for on higher time frame charts possible key reversal points. So if I can see these possible key reversal points on a higher time frame chart, that will help me decide on lower time frame charts what areas do I want to get into trades where I'm getting signals off the Strike Trader Elite Pulse indicator. Now right here you can see we had a diminished downside trade intensity even though price went lower, but there was never any strong upside trade intensity. A little bit right in here we had a spike, but nothing special, nothing building. Here it's very obvious. And you can tell, see how we get some of the dark coloring? Anytime you get dark coloring mixed with the lime green, that's where you have your stronger runs of intensity. Here we almost have none of that after the divergence. So that would be telling me, yes, we've bounced a bit and we're holding a bounce, but I'm not seeing any follow through. Here, very obvious double bottom. You can see a massive drop in the downside trade intensity, and this is a key signature. Right after the downside trade intensity ends, we shift to strong upside trade intensity. So that means there's buyers getting in here, upticking price frequently versus the amount of downticks of price. Here, lots of upticks. Upticks are when price moves up 1 pip. That's called an uptick. When price moves down a pip, that's called a downtick. Lots of uptick strength in this area price. And even some decent bias to the uptick downtick information in this area price as price continued to rally. So I use this indicator primarily on lower time frames to make an immediate evaluation of pushes in price out of news releases. On higher time frame charts, I look for divergences with shifts in the trade intensity. So anytime I'm seeing, double bottoms, double tops, seeing price retest an area, maybe go a little bit lower, and then a big shift to the upside, I can use that higher time frame analysis to go in and locate activity on a lower time frame chart where I can work in an entry off one of our Strike Trader Elite pulse signals. So it's another mechanism of analyzing what's underlying going on in this price action that I'm seeing. Another thing too, some traders are using this when they see continued strength in a move on lower time frame charts. They might get into initial position, but they might then add to a position and pyramid in and grow the size of their position into a running trend, strong trend of price. So when they're seeing a strong trend, strong pulse indication on a lower time frame chart, and there's seeing continued upside momentum growing or maintaining on the higher time frame chart, that's an area that they could grow position size. So they can take an initial small order and grow the size of the overall position into the move that's being supported by evidence on higher and lower time frame chart. Now that's a little bit more advanced training to get into that type of activity of adding to a position, but I just want you to realize how different traders are using the information. Now, especially when you get extended moves, or you're getting, let's say news hits and then you get a move where the move just for a day or two keeps going. A lot of times what you'll see pullbacks of 35, 40, 45 pips or greater on a weak downside intensity. Any lifts back in the direction of the trend are high probability areas to get back in on lower time frame charts and take advantage of a trend that's maintaining momentum, on a higher time frame and on lower time frame charts. So just wanted to give you some additional clarity on ways to use the Strike Trader Elite push indicator. It is measuring, at the moment, tick by tick, intensity of the trade, or what I call intensity of the momentum of the uptick, downtick in price action. So there you have it. If you have any questions, just let us know by email, but want to just add some additional information so you can see different ways of using the Strike Trader Elite push indicator.